Hi guys, welcome back to another video. If you are new here, welcome. If you're a regular subscriber, welcome back and thanks for the usual support. Today I have a special guest. My friend Andre, is here with me, and we're going to be talking about a very interesting topic today. Andre is currently dating a single mother, and so we're going to be talking about what that's like, and we can't wait to hear from him. If you want to be a part of this discussion, just stick and stay. All right.
So thanks for having me, Shadelle. It's a pleasure indeed. I must say, I've been dating my partner for some 4 years now, and it's been very interesting, and I can't wait to be open about this particular topic today.
Guys, here's why I'm so excited about this topic. This is something that a lot of people don't really want to talk about, especially the men. They're not necessarily so open about having conversations like these. And as my friend said to me the other day, sometimes we have to just, we're saying about the elephant in the room.
You have to get the elephant out the room or something like that.
Anyways, yes. So I'm really excited about this discussion. So alright, as Andre explained a while ago, he's been dating his partner, who is a single mom, for about 4 years now. It's probably something generally that men, I won't say generally, but some men may shy away from. We want to hear why Andre did not shy away from it, one, and two, how has it been, and perhaps how he sees things going in the future. Now, on this channel we focus primarily on wellness and mental health, and so we also want to bring the conversation back to how it impacts him mentally, what are the things that are going through his head in terms of, and how that impacts or affects the relationship. So first question is, what were your thoughts the first time when you met your partner and she revealed to you that she was a mother? Or was it that you knew that she was a mother and you went ahead and pursued her knowing that? If you get what I mean. So when they did start talk and then afterwards they find out that she was a mother, or she was a mother, or you knew before.
Okay, so that's a good question, and I must deep dive into that a bit. I actually knew she was a mom, and at first, to be honest, I was a bit afraid, right? I was a bit afraid because I didn't have any experience, speaking to a woman that has a child. I don't have any experience with that before, but after actually giving it a try, I realized that it's actually a very interesting thing, right? Because you basically get first an experience of being a dad, you get me, and you actually have, it's like it's shaping you for you becoming a dad, in the future. So it has its perks, I must say, and as you mentioned earlier, it is something that plays on your mental on a daily basis, and you have to be strong.
All right, very interesting, and I like the points you raised as well. You said initially you were a bit fearful because it's something you had never ventured in before.
Indeed.
And then perhaps thinking about all the things that may come with, and all the dynamics of that, but having gone into it, you've realized that it has presented you with some experiences that you may not have had before. Definitely not before. And outside of that, you wouldn't have had that first-hand experience, for example, of experience what it's like to be a dad. Very interesting points. You raised some very key points a while ago, and as I said, very interesting. The fact that yes, initially you were a bit fearful because this is something you've never ventured in before, you've never experienced before, and naturally you would have been like, is this for me? But of course, whatever led you to pursuing and continuing must have been what should I say, of great magnitude. So you went ahead and you have no regrets at all, and I love that. And you also shared that it has given you that kind of first-hand experience somewhat of what it is like to be a dad. And I really, really love that point. I really, really love that, because a lot of men are also scared about that as well,
Yes.
which is understandable. But I want to go, before we go into that part, I want to ask though, I presume that one of the concerns with dating a single mother may be, you know, how you work out spending time together.
Definitely.
Because I know his partner, and I know she's an amazing mom. I know she tries her very best to spend as much time with her son. And I know in terms of spending time together, that will also have a lot to do with what kind of partner you are. So for some people, it may not matter that, you know, you see her one time a week or whatever
Yes.
the case may be. So you work out that on your own terms. But for you, how has it been in terms of, you know, you guys finding that time to say this time is for you and I, or, you know, yeah, you get me. So
Sure.
share on that. Right?
Let me just deep dive again. So like, it's all about for me. It has always been about compromising, right? Because once you love someone, you know, you will have to compromise, because everyone is actually shaped out differently,
Yep.
right? So once you're able to compromise, I think you would be fine. We usually sit and create our schedule for the month. You know, what we'll be doing this time around, and you know, anything that we actually plan, we always had to filter in her son, which is my son now. You know, so so as I mentioned, I had to filter everything that I was doing and add him into it, because you know, he's a part of our family, and we're not gonna be, we wouldn't be able to do other stuff like other adults would want to do, or probably I should say more often, you know, but we would actually compromise and let it work. I think the fear that most Jamaican men have is the fact that they think about the responsibility that it comes with, right? The weight that it would actually comes with, because a lot of men are not ready for that, and that's the fact, right? And I think that it's something that you would actually grow tenacity for it over time, right? Personally, I think that I've grown that, right? Because as I mentioned, it's been 4 years, and it's been incredible. Can you imagine knowing a kid from he was about 3 and now he's 7? You know, that's a lot of time invested.
Listen, I love it. I love it. I love it. I absolutely love the genuineness and the authenticity in what Andrew is sharing, and this is because you don't find a lot of, don't kill me now, you don't find a lot of Jamaican or black men who are willing to, you know, sit down and have conversations like this, to be honest about it, to even be open about it. And I'm so glad to hear him expressing all of this. Now I know that there's no perfect situation, there's no perfect life, there's no perfect relationship.
That is true.
But for what I'm hearing him share is that he is really pulling the positives from it to see what is it he's learning, what is it he's gaining from it, in terms of how this can really help him to develop as he grows into an older gentleman, and learning throughout the process as time goes by. You mentioned as well that you think one of the fears of where Jamaican men are concerned is responsibility of taking care of the child who is not your biological child, but
Yes.
for you over time becomes your child. Where do you think that is coming from in terms of, you know, is it possibly, I don't know, where do you think that comes from? That kind of,
I think
is it just a natural fear, or it has to do with?
I think that that's something that can be both natural and it can be societal, right? Because the society that we're living in, not to bash Jamaica, because I'm Jamaican, we're Jamaican, right? But the society that we're living, most of the men or most people are under the notion that, you know, it's not your kid, it's not your full responsibility. But no, once you're actually in a relationship with a woman and she had a kid, or even if it's the other way around, if I had a kid, right, and she was coming into my life, she would actually have to accept that child and know that, hey, show this child the same amount of love that is actually shown to me, right? Because once you made up your mind and you say that, hey, we're gonna be in a relationship, that's actually tied in, right? I think that over a time, because at first I was actually, as I mentioned, I was a bit nervous about the whole situation because I was young. I didn't have any experience or anything like that, and a man who knows nothing doubts nothing, right? So when I actually made the decision to go ahead and do it, I had some advice, right? I had some advice. I seek some advice from someone who had the experience also, right? And that was very interesting because that individual had actually advised me that, you know, if you really love the person, yes, so if you really love a person, whether they have a child or not, it doesn't actually changes your feeling. You know, you would just have to be ready to know that it's not going to be easy every day. And you know, that's the thing that people don't really understand. Like, life overall is not easy, right? Sometimes I'm burnt out. However, my partner is a person who is full of energy, and she backfills that energy. So I think if I got a child tomorrow, I would actually be very ready.
I love the sound of that. And here's why. I think, as I said, people looking on to relationships like these are probably pulling more so the negatives. And I think, you know, as with any experience in life, any journey in life, I always say, no matter how ugly the situation look or how awkward the situation is, there's always so much to learn from it. There's always so much to pull from it, and grow from. So I love the sound of that. All right, so this question is, I'm going to be asking this from a mother's perspective. And perhaps it's a question that I should pose to your partner. However, I'm going to ask for your opinion on it.
Interesting, okay.
All right, so as mothers, one of the things we fear the most is how our child will be treated by someone else. It don't matter if you're a relative, it could even be grandma or grandpa. For us as mothers, I'm going to tell you straight up, for us, the way we treat our child is second to none.
Definitely.
And so we will have certain systems, we'll have, you know, our child may do something that for somebody else it may just annoy them or piss them off instantly, but for us, even if we're upset in the moment, we forget about it because we carry that child in our womb.
Definitely.
We are the closest, our mother is the closest person to her child. So
yeah,
long and short of it, how do you think your partner's response to, or her interpretation of how you relate to her son, how does it play back to how she feels about how you relate? If you get what I'm asking.
Yes,
so
in terms of scolding.
Yes. So in general, perhaps, you know, your approach to helping to raise him as you are. Naturally, you guys would have set your own boundaries and so on. But you know, what's her response to it? What do you think? How do you think she feels about how you relate to him?
Okay, so that's a good question as well. So at first, she used to say, you're too soft on him. You know, like, Dre, you're too soft on him. You need to, you know, when him give some trouble, you need to give him some belt sometimes. My view on that, like, probably because I'm the type, I was brought up by my mom, right? So I totally understand, like, a mother and son relationship. Hey, boy, go on, yeah,
Sure.
So much with your brother, Green.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a good question. Sometimes when he would actually misbehave or give some type of trouble, I have different means of giving punishment. I'm not necessarily the first to say, hey, get the belt. You know, probably because of how I was brought up by my mom. My mom didn't beat me. Never. Like, it was always, hey, don't let me go for the belt or something like
but
that.
you never reached it.
It never reached to that, right? I remember there was an instance though when he did something like really rude, and I had to scold him. So yes, there was an instance where I had to scold him, like literally tell him to go for the belt, and and I had to give him a couple slaps so that he would understand that what he did was really out of line, because I have my moments when I can actually be stern, but for the most part I would say 90% of the time I'm probably one of the coolest persons, right? In terms of how that ended, I was under the impression that she was going to feel a bit, off about that, because it's the first time I was actually, doing that. And usually I would say, hey, don't do that, or probably give him a little pinch or something like that. But I guess she actually didn't take it anyway, or out of the box, because she really realized that he must have did something really bad for me to get to that point.
Yeah.
And like for probably a week or so passed, and then I just brought up the question to her, because it was in the back of my mind. I was like, hey, how you didn't say anything about that or ask me about that? And she was like, that's your job. That she was literally telling me that that's your job. You're the man. You have to do that sometimes, because I'm not going to be the person who's going to do that. I may spoil him. So you have to be the one to say, hey, XYZ, and let him understand sometimes. In terms of raising him, as I mentioned, I've been a part of his life since he was only 3, right? It has been a roller coaster journey, trust me, because he's a very energetic one. Oh, this is attractive.
Kevin said man really hanky, he load hard in a video. Yeah.
It is right. Maybe I'll watch it up. Yeah, next. Never know.
No man.
So as I mentioned earlier, I've been a part of his life since he was only 3.
Yeah, baby.
It has been a roller coaster. For the most part, I can definitely say that it has been good, right? Because he is one of the smartest kids I've ever come across.
Yeah.
I have to watch myself, right? Yeah, and a lot of men don't understand what that would actually mean, but I'm going to explain. Right, the level of intelligence that he displays, you have to be careful what you say or do around him, because
stick up in listener, Andre, they carry me way out yonder with the depth of this discussion, and I'm loving it. Before you delve into that, I want to speak on something that you shared not long ago. You said something. You said her response to you scolding her son was that it's fine by me. You're going to have to do that sometimes. And I think the important thing that is being highlighted here is that you have to create a system within your relationship.
Definitely.
It's what you have agreed to. So both of you agree that yes, I know this is not your biological son, but hey, I'm okay with you reprimanding him. I'm okay with you spanking him if needs be. I'm okay with you, and this is what we've agreed to. Which means if anything like this comes up in the future, we're not going to left because of it. We're not going to have no major issues because of it. When it comes to your child, a mother, you can bring a mother to a point where you're reading a business with you, and that can end it.
Yes.
So I like the fact that you're saying, well, we have a system, we have an agreement, we understand that, all right, this is what she'll be okay with. This is the type of person I am, and this is the type of father figure I will be, or this is what I will display, being in his life. So that's very, very important that you have a system and you agree on this. So For you out there watching this may not be your system, but it's very important that you have your system so the two of you have the same understanding, because communication
Definitely.
is key. Communication is key. I'm really loving this. So I'm going to allow him to just go into explaining, you know, what he means by this little gentleman being so smart, and so he has to know what he's doing. He's going to explain to you. So back to you, Andre.
Definitely. And yeah, like as I mentioned earlier, he's so smart. Like you could drop a pin here and he would actually notice and understand what's happening.
Yeah.
So you have to be I have to be very cautious about what I say, my language, how I operate whenever he's in the room, you know, because he's a very smart kid, right? He asks a lot of questions, right? And I must say, he's asking some very good questions, but I want to take the time out to just lay the questions out there, lay the answers out there for him bit by bit as he grows older.
Yeah.
Right? You know, because I want him to understand life.
Yeah.
Right? On a real level. I think that if I even do something that seems wrong to him, he's under the impression that he must ask me, Andre. He would say something like, Andre, why would you do something like that, or why do you do that? So stuff like that let me understand that, hey, this kid is not a normal kid.
Yeah.
He's very smart.
Yeah.
You know, but it has been a very good experience. You know, I've had the opportunity to take him to school. We go out as a family as well, so I know how he operates in every different manner. I know how he operates when he's angry, when he's really excited. You don't want to take this man to the beach and ask him to come out of the waters. You're gonna have someone on your hands who is crying the entire time to go back in the water, because he loves that.
Listener, I'm loving it. I'm loving it. I'm asking the questions, but here what now? Andre is taking them, you know, more than just on the surface, and I'm loving that. And I'm hoping that, you know, the men watching who are, you know, thinking of whether or not this is for them, you know, nobody can know for you, but I think importantly what we're seeing through Andre is that him have sense. And you have to be a real man to really take on something like this. I don't want to take on something like this to sound away, but you really have to be a real man. We're not saying you're a perfect human being, but you have to have a sort of reasoning level, you have to have a sort of maturity, you have to have a sort of mindset to say, all right, I'm going into this, I'm dealing with two human beings here that, you know, whatever I do can really, really impact them greatly. You know, and I'm going into something that's really, really serious. So all the commitment and everything that comes with it has to come with the level of maturity, self-awareness, and willingness to learn. All of that have to come with it. Yeah. All right. This has been so good. We might have to have a part 2.
Definitely.
All right. So this is my last question for today. So, if for some reason, because we know life happens, while I'm not hoping for this to happen, if for some reason you get to the point where you guys decide that this is it, you're gonna call it quits, where do you see yourself in the son's life?
That's a very good question as well. I mean, thank you again for having me and asking these incredible questions, because, you know, like, we have to educate our people out there who, you know, everybody's view is not going to be the same as mine, however, but personally, the fact that I've already created a bond, right, with her son, which is my son now, I wouldn't actually turn a blind eye to him. I mean, personally, most of the times people, when they separate, they usually don't speak, or, you know, they're in an awkward moment or stuff like that. But I wouldn't want us to be in an awkward moment like that. I would still want to, you know, have her as my friend, you know, and in any way I would be able to assist, I would still assist them. You know, I know that I may not have the privilege to, you know, spend time or stuff like that, but any other way I could actually assist, I think I would still assist.
Mm-hmm.
That's just for me personally, and I think that would actually be the manly thing to do.
You hear me say earlier about this not being everybody's job, and life is really a journey. And I know I said this, that was the last question, but I think I have another one. So yeah, so here's my real final question. What do you think it means to a single mother to be able to find someone who is as supportive as someone like you, to come into her life along with her and her son's life? What does it mean for her mentally? What does it do for her mentally, you know? Because I'd want to think that a single mother is concerned about raising, for example, her son or even her daughter without a dad. And it does not have to be the biological father, but you know, what do you think it does for her mentally to know that she has somebody she can... Hey, what's wrong?
So, very good question, and I must say, I think that definitely puts the mother in a space where she's actually in a place of comfort, to some extent, just to know that she has someone who is dedicated to the cause, you know, and she would be comfortable in a sense that to know that if she is no longer alone in the capacity of parent, right? So I personally think that it definitely creates a feeling of, or I should say, a sense of comfort to such a mother, right? Because time and time again we see where most of our population, women, growing kids on their own, you know, father disappear, or it could be either the other way around, you know, a man growing his son or daughter alone. So yeah, I think personally, me being a part of my significant other's life has created some form of sense of comfort in her life.
What a lovely conversation. I'm so glad Andre could have joined me today to discuss this very, very important topic. I loved every moment of it. Thank you so much, Andre. I sure hope this was interesting or helpful, you know, to somebody out there watching. I encourage you to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Share with a friend, and I'll definitely see you in the next one. Bye.